Welcome to this village Ambaran. As you are already, I think, aware, that we had the oldest Buddhist site very near, where we could excavate the old terracotta figurines, and you can visit to see with your own eyes. And even Dalai Lama visited that Ambaran village. And this, you see this Chenab river, which is the main lifeline of this region. Otherwise, this is very arid subtract, not that fertile soils. And we will be observing World Soils Day on 5th December. So that is just coming. And I will take this opportunity also to share that very popular program, biodiversity awareness program, nicknamed as Tree Talk, which was floated way back in 2010. Why I started this program, Tree Talk? Because it was December, perhaps, when I came to know United Nations had declared the year 2010 as International Year of Biodiversity, but I was not aware, I think, till October, November. Somewhere in November, I came to know, it was the year of biodiversity. Although I had already passion and I was doing and writing many books on this aspect, but United Nations had declared 2010. That somehow I was not aware. I came to know this somewhere in November, I think. And then United Nations General Assembly took another decision. Same year, 2010. They said 2011 will be the International Year of Forests. And along with that, from the year 2011 to 2020, it will be celebrated globally as International Decade of Biodiversity. So I felt a sigh of relief. Very good. If I lost the 2010 time, then this is another opportunity, the whole decade, 10 years from 11, International Year of Forest, and then other years also, but it will conclude in 2020. So ultimately it concluded, no doubt, but in 2020, that conference of parties could not take shape because of COVID epidemic. Ultimately, that got postponed, and somewhere in 22 it was held in Montreal, Canada. Although it was supposed to be held in 2020 in China, but because China had some kind of problems with the COVID crisis, so somehow it was actually held in Montreal, Canada. So as per the recommendations of Indian Biodiversity Act 2002, that has been again revised in somewhere 2022, there was a mandatory provision under section 41 perhaps to have the People's Biodiversity Register. Each panchayat, elected bodies in villages, which are you can village panchayats, and similarly you had the urban local bodies in the urban locations, and all those urban local bodies in cities, towns, for example in Udhampur or Ramnagar or whatever, and then in villages you had the panchayats, and number of panchayats 42 plus, 4200 plus, 4000 something, and then 70 or 80 roundabout, I think, the urban local bodies. Each and every unit, panchayat or ULB, had to make the People's Biodiversity Register. Why it was called People's Biodiversity Register? 2-3 points. Because much depends on people's knowledge. Traditionally also, in the past also, they know. They are not only familiar with names, but they are also utilizing the resource as fodder, as fuel wood, as medicinal plant, as edible. For example, tarad we get even in the Jammu market. What is tarad? So they put emphasis on different levels of biodiversity. Animal and plant, no doubt, these are two broader divisions, but within plants, which are different plants under cultivation. Exotics, for example, Lantana camara has invaded our lands. So this should also be mentioned. And likewise, even in the aquatic fish fauna, many areas, for example, in Mansar, we introduced that carp fish, which has really vandalized our own fish fauna there. That was a folly. when we introduced the carp fish should not have been, why, if I ask you one just query, why it should not have been introduced in Mansar Lake, that carp fish, which is not indigenous, it is exotic. Because out of faith, ethnic faith, nobody is allowed fishing. So if you have not to harvest, then why to introduce that fish which has only, you can say, the end point that you can harvest it, so you will have the more fish in the market. But once out of taboo you cannot, then you should not have spoiled the local fish diversity. So even that exotic introduced, or something is coming from South India. For example, pearls. If there is a pearl industry, and if you find in Jammu also you have the pearl market, definitely it has. So even that need to be, or nariyal is coming to Jammu, although it doesn't grow in our landscape, it will also find inclusion. So there were about 22 different kinds of groups, under which they were given, you have to write its local name, maybe Dogri name, Hindi name, and then English name, and then scientific identity. So obviously villagers are not expected to give us scientific, botanical name or zoological name, but people like you, scholars or botanists or foresters, they will add. So that people's biodiversity register, I was member secretary, so somehow I could constitute those committees. Otherwise it was only 2018 when first panchayat election took place. So I constituted more than 4,000, I am telling you. And there was also 19 crisis when you had no communication also. And then it was NGT. What is NGT? Can someone? National Green Tribunal. Yes. When it was established? Very good. Very good. What is your name? Ritika Jawal. You are very intelligent and you could reply promptly. So that somebody has approached the NGT. The Indian Biodiversity Act, I am telling of 2002. And rules were framed in 2004. And despite that, we had done nothing, especially Jammu and Kashmir, till 17. We had not constituted any committee, which is called as what? BMC. Biodiversity Management Committee, which was mandatory under the Indian Biodiversity Act 2002. No. So, this was one mandatory provision. So, somebody approached the court, NGT, National Green Tribunal, and then it's a ruling and decision that year 20, it was January, 31st January 2020 is the last date. By that time, you should submit your PBRs, People's Biodiversity Register. And I was made a scapegoat. I was sent to this State Forest Research Institute to prepare all this. And when I got these communication, already it was somewhere August. And because of that communication snap, there was no communication. Even those emails, which they must have sent to me also, but I couldn't see in my office, and that was somewhere in September, I think. I came to know. And January was the last date, 2020. So how it was possible? It was not possible. So it was somewhere in October or November, I think, 2018, the constitution of Panchayat took place. So in 19, somewhere in November, then I organized various meetings at district level. Somehow I could constitute the committees by 31st January 2020. That was my day when I superannuated from service. Okay, and before that, there was a submission of this, how much work has been done. Otherwise, 10 lakh rupee per month will be the fine for the government. Jammu and Kashmir. And who was the chairman of this particular committee? I was only member secretary. Chairman was chief secretary. So obviously, if some ruling comes, and fortunately I was also superannuated. So after that ruling will come. Ruling will not come before 31st January. So obviously I left the chair. So obviously any music one has to face, then it was chief secretary. So because chief secretary was the chairperson, so I had very good rapport with all the district level authorities. Otherwise the IAS officer will not bother for me. But because the chairman was the chief secretary, so all coordinated. Rural Development Department, Urban Development Department, so likewise Ayurveda, etc. So coast, Jammu, Kashmir, botany, zoology, environmental sciences, each and everything. So, but I will just quote 2-3 examples of the plants which you see around, how our entries should have been. For example, just you look toward this plant, which is brancard. Let us focus on this. Yes, everybody is familiar. Anybody who has not seen brancard? I think everybody has seen. And its Sanskrit name is Vasa. And Vasa got modified into species Vasika. And Adathoda is the basically Tamilian name. In Adathoda, something which even goat does not touch. It is not a palatable. So even goats avoid it eating. Okay, that particular name was taken as genus. You see this butterfly also on the Panchfuli, Lantana Kamara, how beautiful it is. Somebody can go and have a photograph also. So this particular plant got very useful, good name. That was you must have be aware of this film. King is Singh is king. King Singhasan. What is Singhasan? Where king used to sit. Throne. So in our Hindustani name, it got its connection with lion. So usually those old thrones or Singhasan used to have the first there was poaching and hunting. So it was the real trophies of lions on both sides of the king seat, throne. But afterwards, maybe models or something like that. Singhasan, but now we don't have those kings. King is called Singh. Singh is lion. The name of this brancard, our forefathers, especially the Ayurveda Pandits, you can see that flower. They saw something like, you can say, the laughter of the lion. So they named in Sanskrit its first name, another name, Singhasya. Very good. You are Singhasya. When you think about botanical names, scientific names, you don't have much history, folklore, mythology, these tales, no. But when you come to your local name, or Sanskrit name, Persian names, Jaise Chinar, I was telling. So this particular plant has got so many names, but locally we call it as brancard, also called as Basuti. Basuti is also, you can say, the modification of Vasa. So you have to enter, as you have been provided this questionnaire also. So its name, local name, other name, and Ayurveda, for what purpose this is very important medicinal shrub? Antispasmodic. So which part is mostly used? Yes, leaf has lot of vasicine content. Name is coming from Vasa. Hana? Vasa, I am not aware actually, because I am also not Pandit of each and every scholar of all the languages. But Vasa, Sugandh ka bhi thoda zikr hai. Although Sugandh may be pleasant or it may be unpleasant. Hana? And Singhasya is self-explanatory. It looks like the, you can say the laughter, smiling, you can say. Yes, this flower. Hana? And why are these purplish lines inside this corolla? Yes. And what is the number of stamens? Should be 4. You can see others also. There are 2 I am able to see. 2 may be smaller perhaps. Otherwise, basic plan is 5. And then if you have 4, it means 1 is staminode, non-functional. If there are 2, but I think butterfly has also come. Should be 4. But I am able to see only 2. Later you can probe. So this is also yielding honey. If you go to Mansar and other locations, even this area, those who have kept the beekeeping business. So early somewhere in February, if you go and ask them, give us honey, so that will have a very unique, not thick, it's a very watery consistency. So I inquired why it is so thin and it is having a watery consistency. They told it is only brancard honey. So earlier in the spring season, the honeybees which get the plenty of flowers is this shrub. So they have named this as a brancard honey. Means only flowers available to honeybees they are of. So scientifically it was named, I told you, Adathoda vasica because of this. But there are, now it has been, name has been changed. You know its name? Why it has been named as Justicia? There was some European worker, Justice. His name was Justice. Halanki, his wife was angry with him. And I think they divorced. And despite that, he has been given so much importance. You have the full-fledged plant genus named after him, not after her. Justicia. And this particular roots, leaves, flowers, seeds, all are used, and such type of plants where we use all the 5 parts, panchang. And this particular plant helping in honey making, one. Second, asthma and bronchitis, this cure, medicinal Ayurveda. Third, it has a rich folklore, as I told you different stories. And this particular plant is also associated with butterflies. You could see one particular butterfly and honeybees. They are the pollinators. So that way also there are many different forms of life, insects and butterflies. They are also getting some foods from this particular source. But this particular plant, if you have its decoction, and I made that, flowers can be used for making the herbal tea, which is very good for asthma. Otherwise you get medicine, but otherwise you can boil them. And the whole plant, if boiled and its decoction is taken, that was recommended by the earlier folk healers, even in case of tuberculosis. Such is the, you can say, the important medicinal property of this shrub, which was also recommended as tuberculosis cure. But since now we have other medicines, so obviously people are not that much dependent on this. But still, this is one of the 100 most traded medicinal plants in that list of 100, which are the 100 most traded medicinal plants, which are have a lot of demand in the market and people are still collecting. This is one, that is Justicia agitata. Sometimes it is also named, it was named as Justicia zelenica or Agitata zelenica. Why? And even in case of Dalchini, you have this word zelenicum. Why? What is zelenicum? Basically, I told you how they have distorted our names. Basically, this has distribution or nativity even to Ceylon. And Ceylon was made by them with, you can say, whatever thoughts in their mind. They made it as Ceylonicum, they could have, but they made it as Zelanicum. The way I told about Chinar. So, the difference between maple and plane tree was leaves are always opposite in case of maple. The true maple is identified with opposite phyllotaxy, whereas leaves are always alternate in case of chinar, booni, Indian Oriental tree. And another distinguishing feature between the two is fruit. Fruit in case of chinar is always spiny ball. But in case of true maples, they are paired samaras. As you have the key of your car, you have two keys. They are like hanging there. Winged fruit, which is called samara. So if you look at these characters, because always you may not be able to find the fruit, but leaves are always there. Except some month of autumn. After autumn leaf fall, then it is difficult for you. But otherwise you will always find leaves, and from leaves alternate or opposite. And why they were always confused with maple and this chinar also, because of the autumn color. In both the trees, you have the fiery red autumn color. So people don't go and see closely whether leaves are opposite or alternate. They always say it is maple and sometimes oriental plane tree. Chinar is also labeled as maple, which is wrong. So this was a little bit, but now I will just wear Harish Dutt. So please come here. So if some memories of our tree talk, I still remember you were there along with Professor Yashpal Sharma in Dumi school, and that was a very chilly morning.
Yeah, very chilly morning.
You were also having the cap, and we made the display of medicinal plants.
Yes.
And after that, any
that was on
2011
left
January
bank,
it was.
left bank of this river,
Yeah, Chenab.
just near
This
to
area.
Akhnur, and it is a school for the forest department. So there were certain foresters also which were
Under training.
under training.
Kashmir also they had come
Yeah.
from Kashmir.
So, I visited there, and before that also I had many interactions with you during the tree talks, and really this tree talk is a very good campaign as far as the plants and their conservation is concerned.
You
Even-
could focus even some new species we could discover together.
And
Which were you can tell the names.
more or less what I feel, this tree talk campaign is basically reviving that knowledge which is ultimately which we have lost somewhere. People now in the new era, they are forgetting the things. They are not taking much care about the folk or the folklore or the ancient traditional knowledge. But as the literature says, this traditional knowledge of India was having a very important position in the world earlier, but in course of time, somehow we have lost the things. If we like Sanjeevani is something which some people say that it was hypothetical, but no, it is not hypothetical. Sanjeevani was there, but in this new period, we are unable to identify what was this Sanjeevani. So, a plant which was discussed 10,000 years back somewhere during the Ramayana, and the plant which revived the life of a person, it was available in the Himalaya, but where it hasn't gone. Either we have not, it means that we are not the custodians of our traditions. So this tree talk is a campaign where we are getting aware about all those traditional knowledge, or about the biodiversity, or about the invasiveness of the plants. So I can see here there are many invasive plants. So this all knowledge we should go to a common man, and there is only one source for that. This is a tree talk, sir. What you have started.
Thank you.
24 years back, from the University of Jammu. In that, unfortunately, I was not the part of the first tree talk. But
Professor Yashwal was there.
Professor Yashwal sir, he was there. But after that, I attended
Yes,
many
yes,
sessions.
regular.
And really, it is a fantastic, very fantastic campaign. And as a botanist, the first, I think, the first people who should get a chance, or I can say, who are the first to come forward, right? They should be the botanists. Right?
Yes.
So we all here are the botanists and the environmentalists. So we are having the two environmentalists also with us today.
True.
So this basically group is a group of the participants of national workshop on ethnobotany, and we are here now in the outdoor activity to understand that what is the diversity here and what is the importance of this plant diversity to the human beings.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, madam, you will also add a little bit experience about tree talk if you remember something.
Yes, sir, definitely your tree talks. We always enjoy to be in your company, and it's been so long since I was student, and then my career as an assistant professor. We have always been attending your tree talks, and it's always wonderful to be with you, because particularly when you connect it to the history, to the mythology, that part is basically the best one. I still remember the Amla Day celebration in our college with you.
True.
That was wonderful. And even this Amla Nomi, we missed you because earlier it was great.
True.
You tell us about the mythology that is associated with the Amla tree and the health benefits that we share. And such kind of interactions are definitely wonderful for the students. And there is a Rudraksh tree in our campus. You tell us, or you told us about that also. And really, it's always been wonderful to be with
And unique thing was the forest food festivals. So first ever forest food festival having about 40 plus dishes, cuisines, beverages, teas, pulao, puri, etc., etc. Everything was having some plant in that, and that was forest plant or wild plant. So that was way back in 2015, which was also attended by the forest minister. And ultimately that has, I think, sensitized many colleges also, and people are trying at least herbal teas, herbal snacks, a little bit. I think that is another contribution, just reviving the old traditional foods, beverages. So that was another. And we also got some new taxa. For example, I was just discussing with Harish Dutt. We had one Lusuda species which is growing wild. Whatever Lusuda which is pickled here, that is basically Chinese. That is Cardia dichotoma. That is Chinese basically. But what is in my forest? This Akhnur is unique for that particular wild species of Lusuda. That is called Cardia vestita. And that is found only in this Kalidhar and this Akhnur area. Nowhere else in Jammu and Kashmir. Very rare tree. Another tree which we found for the first time near Sukrala forest, that was holly tree. Holly, graceful holly. Holly is for Christmas celebrations, which mostly you see even on Christmas cards. That red fruiting, spiny leaved, some picture you must have encountered. That is called holly. But that is basically European holly, Ilex equifolium. But what I got, that Ilex was without spiny leaves. Leaves are very smooth. And that was also Ilex excelsa. Excelsa means beautiful. And likewise, we found two etaset species, new Punarnava. They were the Boravia species. Boravia repens, everybody knows. Punarnava, but two other species under publication, Haridaji. One we found Boravia erecta, and another was Boravia chinensis from 17 miles. When I visited the 17 miles, and there's a village, Salmedi Gaon. So normally you see a highly developed area, disturbed area, land use changes. You will not find new taxa there. But when I entered inside this kind of a pond area and wilderness, I could see some new Punarnava, Boravia, which was climbing, very large size leaves and flowers also of large size, pinkish, purplish. So that was named, now it has been segregated from Boravia. It has been put under another genus, Comicorpus, because of fruit shape. Comicorpus, sinensis, whatever. Basically having the nativity of China, but that is also found in our Jammu and Kashmir. And not only these, but there are so many other plants. For example, Mosla dianthera, a kind of wild tulsi, which I found from this Bilawar area. There was Solanum barbascifolium, another one. Barbascifolium, sesambrifolium. Solanum sesambrifolium from Kalidhar. That was year 2011. Paper bhi uske print hue. Means tree talk is having very good, you can say, holistic approach. Scientific, little bit. Traditional, little bit. Mythological, then musical, and even all those important days, which has religious or cultural significance, like Basant Panchami or Raksha Bandhan, even Lohri celebration, or even Ramayana, Lord Rama's day, as Dr. Harish told. We have so many plants mentioned in the Ramayana also, and those locations are within our reach. Even today we can visit those. Even in Guru Granth Sahib, there's a mention of so many trees like bear, Dukhbanjani bear. Likewise, you have even in Quran also. So each and everything is our historical, glorious past, which our younger generation need to reconnect, to really appreciate the knowledge, and then ultimately maybe the modern breakthroughs. Some of the plants which were neglected yesterday may find very important phytochemical today. So sky is the limit for innovations. But let us reconnect to our rich past. So that was the purpose of Tree Talk. Thank you.